see. I'm live. It's a good book. Yeah, that's true. It's happening to me. And, a haircut. Here's another book. Okay. And of course, right there. Baggage. Yeah. Talking about being a targeted individual. It's another name for having Havana Syndrome. Being experimented on without my consent or knowledge with the type of BCI technology. Wasn't asked. Just sometime years ago, I had an operation, and without my knowledge, without my okay, I was young, very young, way before 18. I was a young, barely a teenager. And just started having these very religious thoughts constant and I just thought that's a good thing. But it became, over the years, it wasn't peaceful, it was always in my head, and it took a good 20, 30 years before I realized about there's a form of OCD called Scrupulosity, which deals with religion. In your mind, you're just thinking you're trying to be religious, spiritual, do what you're supposed to do, trying to be ethical. But then it takes a hold of your thinking. And how much of it is just your natural psychology, and how much of it is placed in you from experimentation, maybe technology. It's not like they ever tell me. Target individuals, and it happened. I just want that. My side pain, right here, is where there's a biosensor that strips. It constantly causes a pain, like it's pulling your heart down, pulling down, like it's a depressant or a sad or something. I don't know. But it pulling it down, and I didn't know it was an actual technology. I just thought maybe when I broke my arm, left arm, in football when I was 13, maybe a mistake in the surgery, but it wasn't. I found out later it's an actual biosensor in all the books and technology of what is now known as Havana Syndrome. When you can look at the Georgetown archives and see the White House bioethics 2 or 3 years before Havana Syndrome, there is a group of people, civilians, called targeted individuals that believed they were being experimented on with this technology. So, and I'm glad, because I went 30 years to no answers. Why do I have my side pain? Why don't I have emotions on my no answers? Nobody. I was thankful I had pain meds for it, but it wasn't until I went to the Ella Free Rally in Portland, and there's PAX International and Targeted Justice, and anyway, thank goodness for them. I know that the feds become part of these groups. They, pretend to be TIs and all that. And sometimes they just think they're helping, they'll use people who are religious and tell them they're trying to do a religious. My God, I mean, I studied for the ministry. I studied, I have scrupulosity, OCD form of, and it's like, it's one thing I constantly, but it's a way they can use people to make them think they're doing something spiritual, religious by lying to people, trying to get unsuspecting people who are already experimented on with technology. And that way they can make it look like they got information from talking to people in chat rooms rather than synthetic telepathy or artificial telepathy, brain computer interface. Anyway, I'm thankful for that the deep state did allow Havana Syndrome to be on the news. I pray they continue to allow it because I want help with it. I want people to cure it, to stop harassing people, and let us get our medical help that we need, and not be hurt or abused by for the rest of our life. I don't want to be a part of any of my life to be part of artificial intelligence. I don't want them to borrow my brain, my thoughts, my DNA. I would never agree to it. Never would, never want it. I don't want anybody to have my thoughts or my DNA or read them anymore through synthetic telepathy. A lot of this technology is still not known about, even though Elon Musk calls his thing telepathy. Before those people, it was a DARPA project. A lot of these are DARPA years before, 20, 30 years before. And often without our knowledge, without anybody's knowledge. It's just done while you're under anesthesia. I had written to a lot of senators during the Havana Syndrome Task Force. Majority of those people. And once in a while I'll get a listing back, but again with the deep state, you get electronic harassment. Everybody gets some of that, which is just normal, but when you're a TI, it's real, a lot more. And anyway, I just really, when you have scrupulosity, and that's just a form of OCD that deals with religion, and it's about being overly, like the Sermon on the Mount, and following, and every jot and tittle, or be ye perfect even as my Father which is in heaven is perfect, and you're trying to do what you think is right. But then at the same time, this is a lot of the stuff on the internet has to do with last day stuff. And that one guy with the technology talking about the Antichrist. So all I can do is go out people, like I did a few times, to warn them about Havana Syndrome, maybe signs that talk about Havana Syndrome, and brain chips. Don't get them unless you really need them from an illness or something. I didn't have that right. It's weird that voice to skull, that technology is real. Voice to skull. I don't know what the K stands for, V2K. Unless it's voice to kill through negative talk. But they have all the telemetry, all the vitals, taking stuff, and without my knowledge or concern. Without my consent, I should say. But I certainly am concerned because I don't want them there. Anyway, so I don't know if pretty soon this age of disclosure, if they're going to say people like me with this technology experimentation. My name's Alan, so I don't know if they're going to say I'm an alien and it's advanced technology like an LRAD and you need a big truck. No, you don't need a big truck. You just need a biosensor, implantable subcutaneous defibrillator, cardiac defibrillator, and one of those brain chips that can, brain map and read your thoughts back to you, like a little telephone in your brain. And I've had this since I was about a teenager. I don't know if you can see it, but it's this area right here, and it's a bump. There's not supposed to be a bump right here, but that is where the bump has been since I was a teenager, and it hurts. So anyway, I'm gonna go.